Coming up, SU ambulances receive new upgrades for the semester. Find out how the equipment is helping to save lives and protect the student volunteers this winter.
Plus, President Trump delivers his first speech on a global scale, where he talked about aggressive regimes. What will this mean for the future of foreign policy?
Mid-80s today, they couldn't keep me inside. Hopefully you got outside as well. Stay tuned for my full weather forecast. Citrus TV News Live at 6 starts right now.
Citrus TV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
Our top story tonight, Syracuse SA is donating $15,000. I'm Conor Federico.
And I'm Elissa Candiotti. The money will go towards charities and relief efforts closely affecting members of the Syracuse University area. The Student Association voted to donate to Mental Health Awareness Week and hurricane relief just last night. $5,000 will go towards activities scheduled for the first day of Mental Health Awareness Week. Additionally, $10,000 will help victims of both Hurricane Irma and Harvey. SA also announced representatives from the 5 colleges on campus yesterday.
Many campus organizations received upgrades during the summer. Citrus TV reporter Conor Wight previews how SU ambulances improvements can help save lives.
The SU Ambulance Corps works around the clock to ensure the safety of students and faculty at Syracuse University. But working in one of America's snowiest cities isn't easy. This past summer, SU made battling the elements a little easier. If you're outside and the weather takes a turn for the worse, the solution may seem simple. Just grab yourself an umbrella. But if you're a multi-ton emergency response vehicle, cover may not be found so easily. But now SU Ambulance have found their umbrella. The new overhang was paid for by the university itself with aesthetic appeal in mind. However, style was not the main concern. Its function can have life-saving implications.
We also just got a new overhang to kind of keep up the snow and the rain off the ambulances. It's always nice if we get a call that we kind of just go and we make it on scene as fast as possible so we don't have to deal with snow, shoveling out our ambulances, wiping them off.
The overhang isn't the only upgrade. The new headquarters offers more living space for ambulance members and more space for critical supplies.
It's much more spacious, it's all updated. We have new bunks, which is so awesome because before we only had 2 in girls' bunk and 2 in guys' bunk, so now we have 4 in each bunk. We have a bigger supply closet, so we have a lot more supplies, so we don't have to order as frequently. Kind of have it here when we need it, rather than not have it when we don't need it.
SU students seem to appreciate the move and the work of the SU ambulance.
A lot of emergency situations happen in the campus, to be honest, or around the campus. If that could be closer to here, it would be better. You know, people can get help easier and quicker.
I think it's great that they're here, you know what I mean, in case something ever goes wrong, somebody needs an ambulance, they're right here.
Hopefully, the SU ambulances can get where they're needed even faster now.
On Sunday, Cosmopolitan published an article about Syracuse University that upset many SU students. Citrus TV news reporter Jenna Babyak is in studio to tell us what the article said. Jenna?
Cosmo's article says that women at SU, particularly those in Greek life, do not treat sexual assault like it's a big deal. I spoke to students here on campus to hear their reactions to these claims.
Greek life aren't the only people who are hurt by sexual assault on campus.
A writer for Cosmopolitan came to Syracuse 2 years ago and interviewed a few women in Greek life about sex. These women said that sex isn't that big of a deal. They even said that girls in Greek life have more sex than girls who aren't in Greek life.
There's some pretty big stereotypes being made in the article that may not necessarily be true. I am in Greek life myself, so reading that was a little bit hurtful, I'm not gonna lie.
Syracuse students say that the casual attitude girls have towards sexual assault is concerning, but it's not an honest representation of all Greek students. Many of SU's Greek chapters have houses in Walnut Park. Most students say this promotes Greek unity and creates a safe environment. Although students are upset by the article, rape culture is still an issue at SU.
It's really important to be an active bystander.
The article brought attention to the reality of sexual assault on campus. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center found that 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted while in college, yet more than 90% of sexual assault victims on college campuses do not report their assault. SU has numerous resources that victims can utilize through the Counseling Center, and it's on us.
Now, the Syracuse University Human Rights Film Festival will celebrate its 15th anniversary this month. The films address social justice around the world. Screenings will be held from September 28th to the 30th and are free and open to the public. The festival is part of the Syracuse Symposium held by the College of Arts and Sciences and the Newhouse School. The Syracuse Police Station in Skiddy Park has been under fire recently. The windows are cracked from dozens of bullet holes. A police spokesperson says they don't know when the shots were fired. The station opened last June to create community space and give a police presence near the park. However, it is not staffed full-time.
Some good news for patrons catching a show at the Syracuse Stage. Central New York's premier professional theater is hosting one pay-what-you-will performance for each show in the 2017-18 season. Eligible shows include The Three Musketeers, The Curious Incident of the Dog and the Nighttime, and The Wizard of Oz. The stage hopes to make performances more accessible by eliminating cost as a barrier. 2 men spent a night in jail following Saturday's SU football game at the Carrier Dome. Michael Staubner and Greg Hurley were charged with disorderly conduct. A Syracuse police officer was injured in the struggle. The men were harassing one of the cameramen filming for Central Michigan University. Hurley and Staubner are due back in court next week. And a happy 70th anniversary to the SU Orange Girl. The Syracuse tradition of a baton twirler leading the marching band started in 1947 and continues to this day. The very first Orange Girl, Jessie Ann Harp, twirled in 100 Men and a Girl. That was the name of Syracuse's marching band until 1966. The current Orange Girl, Isabella Balduck, is a star performer at many SU events.
It's been another hot and sunny Tuesday here in Central New York.
It certainly has. Josh, fall is just a couple of days away. What in the world is going on?
Fall is potentially not as close as you think, guys. It was quite a hot one today. I almost sweated through my shirt pretty much. 82 today, felt like 84. 51% humidity. It was definitely a hot one. And into tonight, it's still going to stay around 68. That's the weather that we've been expecting on a nice day around this time of year. So low of 59 throughout the night, so 0% chance of rain. And I'll tell you if that rain is coming anytime soon in my full weather forecast.
Ahead, President Trump goes America first at the UN. We'll tell you what made the cut and how the world reacted.
And new military sanctions on Myanmar as their refugee crisis escalates. Don't go anywhere.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it. It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
2 police officers are recovering after protests turned violent last night on Georgia Tech's campus. Students were demonstrating against officers who shot and killed 21-year-old student and LGBT activist Scout Schultz.
Schultz was killed Saturday night after allegedly refusing to drop a knife while approaching officers. Shortly after a peaceful vigil last night, violence erupted. A police car was burned and 2 officers received minor injuries. 3 individuals were arrested as a result of the protest. Protests also erupted at a Nancy Pelosi press conference on Dreamers today. Protesters were angry that Pelosi is working with President Trump on DACA.
The minority leader was eventually forced to leave the event due to protests, but she attempted to argue her case for working with Republicans.
And we want a clean DREAM Act that's bipartisan passed. And that would be really important to our dreamers, but it's also important to our country.
President Trump delivered his debut address to the United Nations General Assembly today. The president was optimistic about the UN's capability to improve global security.
However, he did not address climate change or the Paris Agreement in his speech. The president also came out with an aggressive rhetoric against Iran and North Korea. President Trump warned Kim Jong-un that North Korea could not survive an American attack.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
A 23-year-old accused of killing 2 African-American men is in custody. Kenneth Gleason was arrested on charges of shooting the men in the Baton Rouge area last week.
Many suspect the crime to be racially motivated. The Louisiana native was previously detained immediately following the shooting, but was later released. Police arrested Gleason after DNA evidence was found on the shell casing. And another hurricane is raging the Caribbean. Hurricane Marina blew through Dominica early this morning with winds as high as 160 miles per hour. The storm will continue to move through the Caribbean, hitting a number of islands today before reaching Puerto Rico Wednesday morning. The National Hurricane Center said that Maria could grow from a Category 3 hurricane to a Category 4 or 5 storm by the time it reaches Puerto Rico. The United Kingdom is suspending all military aid to Myanmar in response to allegations that the government is violently prosecuting the Rohingya population. The Rohingya are mostly Muslim minority group living in Myanmar. The international community has widely criticized Burmese leader Aung San Suu Kyi for not condemning this ethnic cleaning. Today, she responded to those claims.
Other recommendations we will have to take time over, but every single recommendation that will benefit peace and harmony and development in the Rakhine State will be implemented within the shortest time possible. The government is working to restore the situation to normalcy. Since the 5th of September, there have been no armed clashes and there have been no clearance operations. Nevertheless, we are concerned to hear that numbers of Muslims are fleeing across the border to Bangladesh.
Exactly 22 years after a major earthquake destroyed Mexico City, another major quake hit the Mexican capital. This time, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake caused by buildings to sway and smaller items to topple over. According to the BBC, people are trapped in collapsed buildings. A Mexican governor says at least 42 people were killed.
From the CitrusTV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
It's a beautiful day today, 82 degrees. I was telling you a little bit about that. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be just as beautiful. I'm going to nitpick a little at like it's summer again. 61 in the morning. That's early in the morning, like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. If you unfortunately have that 8 a.m. class, you're still going to be pretty warm. Maybe a sweatshirt, depending on how you feel about that. But it's going to heat up quickly. And tomorrow morning, by 9 o'clock, it's already going to be 65 degrees. By noon, it's going to be 76. By 6 p.m., going to be around 77 degrees. And that's probably the coolest temperature in the week. I know, it feels like it's like August again. We're midway through September. And in the area, it was also beautiful today. So 82 in Syracuse was around the high, but it's in the high 70s, low 80s all throughout the area. And that 5-day weather forecast, as you can see, 82 degrees today, and it's going to stay in the low 80s all throughout the week. Just a beautiful, beautiful week. The lowest it's going to hit is in the 50s, and that's like in the middle of the night. So just honestly, a beautiful week we have.
Well, I'm excited for it. I like the heat. I'm not complaining over here. But are we expecting any rain anytime soon?
If you check back with me next Tuesday, there's a slight chance, like a 30% chance of rain. Other than that, it's supposed to be sunny, maybe a little bit of cloud tomorrow morning. But other than that, just a beautiful week. So
I'm loving it.
Not much to report. It's like we're in LA or something like that.
All right, great. Well, thanks, Josh.
Coming up, a major U.S. retailer declares bankruptcy. Stay tuned to find out what company it was and what this means for their customers.
And a TV star announces that she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. All that and more after the break.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Go, okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
What are you, superheroes?
Just 4 brothers who hate bullies and love this city.
Whoa!
Gear up, guys.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the CitrusTV newsroom, 315-443-1177, or tweet at CitrusTV News, your campus news leader.
The U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI are examining whether 3 senior officials from Equifax breached trading laws. Officials at Equifax sold approximately $2 million worth of shares before announcing that the agency was hacked. The company announced last week that customer data had been stolen. Equifax denies that the officials had any knowledge of the hacking. And soon, Walgreens will own half of Rite Aid stores. The pharmacy giant already owns CVS and will soon take over about 20,000 Rite Aids. The multi-billion-dollar deal has been in the works for 2 years. Critics say that the deal would hurt smaller pharmacies and consumers due to the lack of competition.
U.S. health officials are worried after a major flu outbreak in Australia. 52 Australians died just this year. American health officials say the flu season in the U.S. often reflects what we see in Australia. So we could be in for a brutal flu season. Another major U.S. retailer declares bankruptcy. Toys R Us is the latest company to file for Chapter 11. The company had a net loss of nearly $200 million during the first quarter. The decision coincides with the holiday season, where Toys R Us does most of its business. Actress Kate Walsh has announced that she was diagnosed with a benign brain tumor. The actress is known for her role in Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice. She has joined co-star Patrick Dempsey in a campaign to advocate for annual checkups.
Coming up in sports, Syracuse football heads to Death Valley this weekend for a date with LSU, who just lost by 30. Did that expose some of the Tigers' weaknesses? Plus, an SU alum gets snubbed and Eli Manning gets called out by his head coach. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News. I'm Drew Carter, and I've got good news and bad news for Syracuse football fans. We'll start with the bad news. This week, the Orange hits the road for a date with LSU, and the Tigers have won 48 straight non-conference games in Baton Rouge. But the good news is that the Tigers' last opponent may have just laid out the blueprint to beat them. Mississippi State clobbered LSU 37-7. So Dino Babers, why not just copy the Bulldog strategy?
And the big thing I just got through talking to the coaches is that, hey, we can do this, we can do that. I'm like, we're not Mississippi State. We can't do that. That's our left tackle can't do that. Our tailback can't do that. It's two different teams. So we've got to try to attack them a different way. To say that we can take the Mississippi game plan and do it with our athletes that's not smart. Okay, we've got to do what we do, and hopefully things will work out.
All right, so Babers pretty honest about his team. Also brutally honest is Las Vegas. The opening line on this weekend's game has LSU favored by 23.5 points. The Orange and Tigers take the field in primetime this weekend. Kickoff scheduled for Saturday night at 7. And the Albany Great Danes not quite as intimidating as those LSU Tigers, but they're both now on the Syracuse football schedule. SU Athletics announced today that the Orange will open up the 2021 season against Albany. It'll be the first ever battle between the two New York schools. The Great Danes, an FCS team, they went 7-4 last year after they won just 3 games in 2015. It's the third home non-conference matchup already on the Syracuse schedule for 2021. The Orange will also host Wisconsin and Liberty. And speaking of Empire State showdowns, the Syracuse soccer team takes the field in about half an hour. The 11th ranked Orange hosts Cornell at SU Soccer Stadium in the third leg of a 4-game homestand. Cuse is coming off its first loss of the season, a 2-1 defeat at the hands of number 17 Louisville last Friday. The Orange's record now sits at 4-2-1, while the Big Red comes in at 1-3-1. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 o'clock. We go to baseball now, a potential playoff preview in the American League tonight. The Yankees host the Twins in a meeting of the top 2 teams in the wild card standings. It's the second of a 3-game series. Last night, the Bombers escaped with a 2-1 win. That pushed their edge to 5 games up on Minnesota. The Twins still in playoff position, though, 1.5 games ahead of the Angels for that second wild card spot. Tonight, CC Sabathia takes the mound for New York. Jose Barrios gets the ball for Minnesota. To hoops, we've got a snub alert in the WNBA. The league gave out its Rookie of the Year award today, and it did not go to Syracuse alum Brittany Sykes. Instead, Alicia Gray of the Dallas Wings took home the award, even though Sykes, now with the Atlanta Dream, led all rookies in scoring at just under 14 points per game and rebounding with an average of more than 4 boards a night. Up next, Sykes is teaming up with her Old Orange backcourt partner. In the fall and winter, she'll play alongside Alexis Peterson in Israel. Back to football now. The New York Giants are 0-2. Each loss came by double digits. And after scoring just 3 points at Dallas in Week 1, the G-men went down to the Lions last night, 24-10, the final score from MetLife Stadium. Late in the third quarter, Big Blue had a 4th and goal from Detroit's 2-yard line, and the Giants took a delay of game penalty. And after the game, New York head coach Ben McAdoo placing the blame on Eli Manning. Quote from McAdoo, "Sloppy quarterback play. We have a veteran quarterback who has played a lot of football. I expect the ball to get snapped." A reporter asked McAdoo to evaluate Manning's entire performance, and McAdoo said he had some good moments. He had some moments that we weren't looking for, end quote.
Thank you very much, Drew. We'll be right back.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Taking care of a family member can lead to plenty of questions. Fortunately, there's a place to get the answers, for them and for you. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Well, how about this? Mark Beaumont biked across the world in 2.5 months, shattering the previous world record by 44 days. He biked through 16 countries on his journey.
Incredible. Beaumont said he biked approximately 240 miles per day and slept only 5 hours per night. And friends, family, and spectators embraced him in Paris as he crossed the finish line. Incredible.
That's very cool. And that is all for Citrus TV News Live at 6. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV for these stories and more.
And I'm Elissa Candiotti. Have a great evening, Syracuse.